There's a martial art you'll never see in a tournament. It has no rules, no belts, and no fixed movements. It was born out of the need to survive in the harshest conditions and was perfected in the shadows, associated with the Spetsnaz, Russia's most feared special forces. It's known as the System. Its name inspires both respect and fear, a reputation forged far from dojos and cameras. Today, we'll explore its history, uncover the secrets of its lethal biomechanics, and answer a question. Is Systema the ultimate art of survival? Martial might, where warriors live forever. To understand Systema, we must travel to the lands of ancient Russia. Its origin has no single master or specific date. It's lost among centuries of history, battles, and pure survival. What we now know as Systema has its roots in the traditions of Slavic warriors. Over the centuries, Russia was a constant battlefield, forced to repel invaders from all directions, from the Teutonic Knights to the Mongols. These threats, fought in unforgiving terrain and under brutal climates, forged a key necessity in Russian fighters: adaptability. They couldn't afford a rigid martial art. They needed a method of combat that was practical, efficient, and deadly against any opponent, even when outnumbered. Rather than a set of techniques, what developed was a philosophy of movement based on instinctive reactions, understanding one's own body and exploiting the opponent's weaknesses. Legends tell of the Bogatirs, the epic heroes of Russian folklore, and of the Cossack warriors. In fact, a popular theory within Systema claims that their traditional dances, seemingly folkloric, actually concealed combat movements and evasion principles that allowed them to flow among their enemies. Another philosophical pillar of Systema comes from an unexpected place: Russian Orthodox monasteries. Though it sounds contradictory, the Orthodox faith is central for many modern practitioners. Within the monasteries, combat wasn't seen as aggression, but as a way to protect life and maintain spiritual calm in the midst of chaos. It sought a deep connection between the physical, mental, and spiritual states. Fighting was an act of non-destruction. The goal wasn't to annihilate the opponent out of hatred, but to neutralize the threat as efficiently as possible without harming one's own soul. This spiritual heritage is key to understanding one of Systema's most mysterious principles: calmness under extreme pressure. The name Systema, meaning the system, is deliberately generic. It isn't defined by what it teaches, but by how it organizes human body knowledge for one single purpose: survival. After the October Revolution of 1917, the world changed for Russia, and so did its martial traditions. The new communist regime suppressed many ancient arts, seeing them as relics of the Tsarist and religious past. It seemed all that ancestral knowledge would vanish. Yet, in one of history's greatest ironies, the very leaders who banned these arts publicly recognized their effectiveness. Instead of destroying them, the Soviet state absorbed, classified, and refined them for military use. Various systems of hand-to-hand combat were developed and reserved for the elite operatives of the USSR. Thus, Systema became a secret weapon in the arsenal of some of the world's most enigmatic units. It was analyzed scientifically by agencies such as the KGB and GRU, the Military Intelligence Service, to forge the ultimate soldier. In this environment of secrecy, Systema became one of the trademarks of the Spetsnaz. These elite operators, trained for the most dangerous missions, needed a system that worked under the worst imaginable conditions, in darkness, while wounded, against multiple attackers, armed or unarmed. They couldn't rely on pre-choreographed techniques. Training focused on adaptability and psychological resilience. They learned to control fear and pain through breathing exercises and brutal mental conditioning. It's said that the Spetsnaz trained in frozen forests at night, breathing rhythmically while being struck by their comrades. The goal wasn't to endure pain, but to relax within it, to find calm in chaos. That was Systema's true strength. From this world emerged legendary figures, such as Mikhail Ryabko, said to have been trained as a child by one of Stalin's bodyguards before joining the Spetsnaz, though many of these stories blur the line between history and myth. Ryabko became a key transmitter of this knowledge. One of his most prominent students was Vladimir Vasiliev, a former Soviet Special Forces operative who brought Systema to the West. He founded schools in Canada and the United States, becoming responsible for introducing this mysterious discipline beyond the Iron Curtain. Thanks to him, the world finally glimpsed what had been a state secret for decades. For years, Systema's existence in the West was only a rumor, the fighting art of the invisible enemy of the Cold War. Not until the fall of the Soviet Union in the 1990s did the curtain lift. Masters who had trained in secret began to teach publicly, revealing for the first time the principles that made this art so feared. If you see someone practicing Systema, the first thing you'll notice is how strangely relaxed they seem, almost passive. Their movements are fluid, continuous, and often subtle. There are no stances, no shouts, no fixed attacks, and it's precisely in that lack of structure where its deadliness lies. The secret of Systema isn't to learn 1,000 techniques, but to master a few universal principles of biomechanics. The idea is radical. Instead of memorizing responses, you train the body to find the most efficient solution by instinct. Everything revolves around 4 pillars: breathing, relaxation, structure, and movement. The first and most important is breathing, the bridge between mind and body. Practitioners learn to breathe continuously, especially when hit or when attacking. This keeps the muscles oxygenated, prevents tension, and, most importantly, keeps the mind calm under stress. A trained practitioner can absorb blows that would knock out an average person simply through breath control. The second pillar is relaxation. Tension is the #1 enemy. A tense muscle is slow, predictable, and burns energy rapidly. Staying relaxed allows one to move with surprising speed and fluidity, sense an opponent's intentions through contact, and redirect force without resistance. The third pillar is structure, the correct alignment of the body to apply force efficiently. The body moves as a unified whole. Power comes not from the strength of an arm, but from the weight of the entire body focused on a single point. You strike with your mass, not your fist. The fourth pillar is movement. In Systema, you're never static. You flow around the opponent, shifting levels and angles, becoming an elusive target while finding openings in their defense. These 4 principles combine to exploit the biomechanics of the human body. Instead of memorizing techniques, practitioners study leverage and balance. For instance, instead of forcing a joint, they apply subtle pressure to the wrist, elbow, and shoulder simultaneously, creating a cascading imbalance that drops the opponent effortlessly. This absence of fixed techniques makes Systema infinitely adaptable. Standing on the ground against a knife, the principles remain the same. The practitioner doesn't think, "What move should I use?" Their body simply reacts. That's why many say Systema isn't a martial art, but an operating system for the human body under crisis. When Systema emerged from the shadows after the fall of the USSR, it faced an enemy it couldn't neutralize with a smooth movement: skepticism. For traditional martial artists used to belts and competitions, Systema seemed too good to be true. Videos of masters dropping attackers with barely visible motions led to accusations that it was all choreography and that students were falling on purpose. The criticism is understandable. Systema operates on principles that seem counterintuitive to those trained in strength-based arts. Its emphasis on relaxation can appear ineffective. Critics argue that the lack of competitive sparring, as in Muay Thai or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, prevents testing its real-world effectiveness. Defenders of Systema reply that such critiques miss the point. Systema was never meant for tournaments with referees. It was built for survival, in the street or on the battlefield, where there are no rules. Its goal isn't to score points, but to neutralize lethal threats quickly and efficiently. That's why the training differs. Instead of sparring, exercises replicate the psychological stress of real combat. Practitioners learn to function under fear and pressure, to manage chaos without panic. The goal is to explore dangerous scenarios safely without constant injury. Today, the Systema world is diverse. There are multiple schools, each with its own focus but grounded in the same principles. Some emphasize health and well-being. Others preserve the harsh tactical approach for law enforcement and military use. The debate over whether Systema is a genuine martial art or a performance remains unresolved. The truth likely lies in between. As with any discipline, quality varies by instructor. Yet its documented origins and proven use by elite Russian units suggest that at its core lies a formidable combat system. Perhaps the best way to understand it is through its common motto, Poznaj siebie, know yourself. Maybe Systema isn't just about defeating others, but about transcending your own limits. From the warriors who defended endless frontiers to the secret arsenal of elite operatives, Systema is far more than a collection of fighting techniques. It's a philosophy of survival distilled through centuries of conflict, a system designed not for the glory of the ring, but for the brutal reality of life and death. It doesn't seek brute strength, but ruthless efficiency. It doesn't teach you to fight. It teaches you to function under unimaginable pressure. It teaches you to survive when everything else fails. If you're fascinated by the hidden stories behind the world's most lethal martial arts, subscribe and tell us in the comments which one we should explore next. The world of combat is full of secrets, and we've only just begun to uncover them.